Hello, class. Hello, class. This is IS 303, and we're going to take a look at your next case, which is UnME Jeans. Now, this case is about the risks and the opportunities for companies using Web 2.0 or social media user-generated content. Of course, this includes things like the virtual worlds, like Second Life, World of Warcraft, etc. It includes social networking, video sharing sites like YouTube and Vimeo, and of course blogs, wikis, and using Twitter. The scenario in this case is that the UnME Jeans brand manager is weighing some options, realizing that they need to shift from traditional media to social media. And in this case, your team is going to weigh the social media options for the company and then select a strategy. Now, the problem with their current media plan is that it's based on the interrupt model. Ads interrupt your TV shows, billboards interrupt your Sunday drive. If you're like me, you get all kinds of advertisements in your mailbox. Telemarketers interrupt your dinner, and you even have ads that you have to watch before you can watch a YouTube video. Frequency is basically just the number of times that a person is exposed to an ad, and from psychology, we like something better just from being exposed to it, just mere exposure. And this, of course, like I said, that's what psychology says. UnME Jeans is making changes because people now tend to tune out the traditional media. And that's just, we're so overexposed that it actually becomes irritating. And audiences in general are shifting away from traditional media more to internet. The case talks about, and the text, about ways that you can opt out. Phone, email, TV. Looking at Web 2.0 itself, Web 2.0 is all about talking with your customers, not talking to them. It allows the consumer co-creation. It allows them to be interactive, participative, and to collaborate. It builds a social affiliation, which is a sense of community or belonging, a social glue, if you will. It allows for digital self-expression, and that, of course, is in the form of blogs or product reviews or online personalities. Web 2.0 allows for sharing. It allows you to share your knowledge and your opinions with your peers and your friends. Now, UnME Jeans, their target audience is the Generation Y consumers, the 80s to 2000. And of course, these are active social media users. So given the benefits of, let me reposition this just a little bit so that you can get a better read on it. Some of the benefits of Web 2.0 for UnME Jeans would be, first off, consumer receptivity. The Generation Y opt into social media messages from brands that they identify with, and so they're receptive to these messages. Consumer engagement. Social media promotes engagement in various conversations about the brands that they identify with. Consumer endorsement. Social media promotes talk about the brands they identify with, and that in turn creates more believable word-of-mouth advertising. It also promotes brand authenticity. Many times consumer-created content is perceived as being more authentic than your traditional ads. You do have to be wary of astroturfing, which is basically fake grassroots content. They're just trying to push a cause, and many times will create fake content in order to do that. Now, there's also some risks of using Web 2.0 for UnME Jeans. First, there's a lack of control. Marketers have much less control over the brand message because there are people that are pro-brand or anti-brand. And these brand message creators may either love or hate the brand. Either way, they're probably going to be posting about it. Bad news travels fast and wide. If you have a bad experience, research shows that you're more prone to post that to social media than if you have a good experience. And once a critical post is made, it rapidly spreads through social media. The Web 2.0 path to marketing is also getting crowded. It's a little bit harder and harder for a particular brand to kind of stand out. Receptivity to social media messaging is changing. Consumers are becoming less receptive as it's more widely used and you're bombarded with more and more ads on social media. You follow the same path as with traditional ads. You tend to become less and less receptive to them. Social media marketing success is hard to measure. With the traditional ads, you have some metrics by which to measure how successful a marketing campaign is. But using social media marketing, it's much, much harder to measure how successful your marketing is. There's the question of whether Web 2.0 is a fad. Is Foley just playing a Me Too game? Should she jump on the social media bandwagon? If so, why? So let's look at your questions in this case. And I can tell you that we will have the virtual Q&A session because I know that there's going to be some questions about how specifically to answer these case questions because some of them are a little bit unusual. Question 1 is standard. It follows the structured white space format. Which of the following is not considered a characteristic of Web 2.0? You will make your choice and you will support it in the normal structured white space format. Now, there's been some options presented to UnME Jeans. They can use Zwinktopia, where you create your own customized avatar. You can check Zwinktopia out at zwinky.com, Facebook, and YouTube. I think everyone's probably already familiar with the latter two. Now, there are metrics that you'll need to look at are the receptivity, which is the consumer's willingness to receive your brand information, participation measures. That's a measure of, how much are consumers participating in some aspect. Co-creation. To what degree does the option allow you to collaborate or collaboration by consumers to create the brand, and then sharing measures. To what extent does the branding option allow for consumer sharing? So this is how you're going to be looking at this. You're going to look at each one of these options, Zoinktopia, Facebook, and YouTube, and you're going to say, okay, for example, Zoinktopia. How does it rate as far as receptivity? Are the consumers going to be willing to receive the brand via Zoinktopia? How are they going to rate when it comes to participation? How's it going to rate when it comes to co-creation? And how's it going to rate when it comes to sharing? And this is just a screenshot of Zwinky. There's a lot of different things that you can do on Zoinktopia. Here's another one. So let's jump into question 2. Now, Foley's advertising agency presents 3 social media options. And these are Zoinktopia, Facebook, and YouTube. So for each one of these social media options, you're going to analyze the influence of the 4 measures we just talked about: receptivity, participation, co-creation, and sharing. You're going to create a 4x3 grid. You're going to have your measures on your vertical axis and your social media option on your horizontal axis. And you're going to rate each of these options either high, medium, or low. You'll need to keep the intended consumers in mind and apply the measures to the 3 social media options, as I just said. Now, for this question, you're simply going to show your grid. And in the virtual session, I will show everyone exactly how to create this grid in the discussion board. Now, this is an example of what it will look like. Okay, let's go on to question 3. Across these same 3 social media options that have been presented, which of the 4 measures is likely to have the greatest impact on the success of the branding campaign? Now, you're going to choose which of the 4 measures you think will have the greatest impact for each one of the social media options. So this question, again, can probably be answered best in a grid. It doesn't have to be. It can be done more as a 3-part question. And again, we will go over all of this in detail in the Q&A virtual session. For question 4, for each of the 3 social media strategies, come to a consensus, first individually and then of course with your team, on the most important strengths and weaknesses of each strategy as it's presented in the case. This, again, will be a grid. You're going to choose the most important strength of Zoinktopia and the most important weakness. Same for Facebook, same for YouTube. And question 5. You will first individually and then as a team, of course, select which social media option you would choose for UnME Jeans. This will be back to your structured white space format. Would it be to use virtual worlds via Zoomtopia? Would it be to use social networking via Facebook? Or would it be to use video sharing via YouTube? So you'll select the one that you believe would be best for UnME Jeans, and in your support, you'll tell me why. And in your support, you'll need to address the benefits and the risks. So that's your 5 questions for this case. Again, we will go over these questions and exactly how to answer them in detail in the virtual Q&A session. So check your calendar for the exact date and time and have your questions ready. And I'll see everyone then. Thanks.